Read it.
Read it.
Read it. Read it.
Read it.
Read it. Read it. Read it. Wrote it. Read it.
I know you're used to reading a book in a certain way, starting at the beginning and then going straight through to the end. But I have two books for you today you can't read that way. The first one is Deadwood City by Edward Packard. And it says right in the beginning of the book, do not read this book straight through from beginning to end. These pages tell about many adventures you might have in the Old West. But the adventures you actually do have will be affected by the decisions you make. So you're a character in this story, and there are 37 different endings. That means there are 37 different stories. The thing you have to do is be careful and make the right decisions, because there's a bad guy out to get you. His name is Kurt Malloy.
Imagine yourself on horseback, riding along a desert trail, humming a tune. In the distance, you can see the snow-capped peaks of the Rocky Mountains. You've been working as a cowhound in the Old West, but your last job was boring. So about a week ago, you packed up and headed on to Deadwood City. Now you're finally approaching your destination. It's late afternoon. It's a warm, dry day. As you ride into town, a fresh breeze blows the dust up into swirling clouds. The streets are nearly deserted, and the few people you see seem nervous and tense. You wonder what to do. You might go on over to the saloon, see what's happening there. You know in a western town there's no better place to pick up the news than at the saloon. But maybe you ought to go to the hotel. The clerk at the front desk can probably tell you what's doing in Deadwood City. Besides, you need a place to stay for the night. And then again, you might go on over to the sheriff's office. If there's trouble in Deadwood City, the sheriff's likely to know about it. If you decide to go to the saloon, turn to page 8. If you decide to go to the hotel, turn to page 9. If you decide to go to the sheriff's office, turn to page 10. You walk on over to the hotel. The lobby is dark and dingy. The walls are hung with old wagon wheels and badly painted pictures of mountains. A few moth-eaten rugs lie on the floor. Can I get a room for the night? You ask the desk clerk. Well, he glances around the lobby before speaking to you. Oh, sure. You'll have a good view of the action when Kurt Malloy comes into town. Well, who's Kurt Malloy? If you don't know who Kurt Malloy is, you're in bigger trouble than everyone else, and that's plenty of trouble. He's the meanest man in the West. He rides with a gang of desperados, and the word is he's going to take over this town. Even the sheriff is scared to death. That situation don't look too good. This third-rate hotel's just the kind of place Kurt Malloy might take over before he takes over the rest of the town. On the other hand, you need a place to stay, something to eat. If you decide to check into the hotel, turn to page 13. If you decide to go outside and maybe find someplace else to stay, turn to page 14. Outside, the setting sun is so bright you gotta squint to see straight. When your eyes have adjusted to the light, you find yourself staring at the meanest-looking man you have ever seen. You know it must be Kurt Malloy. The three men riding up behind him do not look any nicer. Ignoring the other people on the street, Malloy rides straight toward you. He brings his horse to a stop and looks down at you contemptuously. I'm not sure I want you in this town, kid, he says. Well, if you decide to tell Malloy that you don't want him in this town either, turn to page 23. If you decide to keep cool and avoid trouble, turn to page 24. You walk right up and say, You're Kurt Malloy, aren't you? Malloy replies. And who do you think you are? Well, I hear you're planning to take over this town, you say. You got the picture? Well, Malloy, I'm here to tell you this town doesn't want you. He goes for his gun, but you're ready for him, and you draw too.
Looks like I made a bad decision somewhere along the way. Maybe I should have gone to the sheriff's office from the very beginning, because now I'm in real trouble. Well, I'm going to let you pick up where I left off. Maybe you'll have better luck staying healthy when you read Deadwood City by Edward Packard. Now, the next book is also by Edward Packard. It's called The Third Planet from Altair. Now, this time you're going to be in outer space. There are monsters and antimatter storms and weird beasts, and you're going to have to make decisions once again. The thing is to make the right decisions.
You are standing on the bridge, watching the rear-view display screen. The sun has diminished in size and brightness so that it now looks like an ordinary star. With you are Captain Bud Stanton, veteran astronaut, Professor Henry Pickens, cosmologist, and Dr. Nira Vivaldi, an anthropologist specializing in interspecies communication. Suddenly, space around the ship is filled with flickering light. You glance at the captain. He's hunched over, rigid, as if he were frozen. Sparks dance around the computer. Your body begins to tingle. Pickens is leaning over the sensor data display screen, shivering as though he had a severe chill. We must be passing through an antimatter storm, he says in a shaky voice. Fortunately, it is a mild one. Mild, perhaps, you reply. But look at the captain. He looks paralyzed. I think we should turn back, says Dr. Vivaldi. We're not equipped to handle this, especially without the captain. I think we're through the worst of it, Pickens says. I'm sure the captain would want us to continue on our mission. Your decision will break the deadlock. If you allow the Aloha to continue on course to Altair, turn to page 8. If you instruct the computer to change your course, turn to page 10. I think I'll try page 8. Proceed. Use hyperspeed evasion, you tell the computer. The Aloha shudders as it streaks through space. Pickens takes the captain to his cabin. You begin to feel normal again. The Aloha has passed safely through the storm, but signals from the third planet can no longer be detected. The captain will recover, Pickens informs you a short time later, but I do not think we have seen our last antimatter storm. Well, the following days pass uneventfully. The sun star Altair grows so bright that you can no longer look directly at it. You have already entered its solar system, and soon you approach the third planet, a blue-green sphere that looks a lot like Earth, except for the strangely symmetrical bands of white clouds orbiting the planet far above its surface. The third planet has 3 small moons, one of which, sensors report, is totally covered with water. The water moon and orbiting clouds are such unusual phenomena that you are inclined to investigate them before attempting to enter the planet's atmosphere. If you investigate the water moon, turn to page 11. If you investigate the clouds orbiting the planet, turn to page 12. If you head directly for the third planet, turn to page 14. 14. I think I'll try 14. The Aloha passes through the uppermost levels of the third planet's atmosphere and glides into stationary orbit. The captain, who has now recovered, asks you to take a Signet shuttlecraft to the surface. You bring the shuttlecraft down to 1,000 meters above the ground, intending to look for unusual features. Almost at once, you are blinded by lights flashing all around you. You quickly make an emergency landing, setting down in a smooth meadow. You try to make contact with the Aloha, but radio communications have been cut off. If you get out and explore, turn to page 20. If you try to return to the Aloha, turn to page 31. I think I'll look around. By the time I get back, the radio may be working. And I'm here. In the distance is a large lake. Along its shores are groves of trees. You climb out of the shuttlecraft and walk toward the lake. As you get closer, you are amazed to see that what you took to be trees ahead of you look more like giant weeds or wild flowers. Suddenly, there is nothing under your feet. You are sliding down a steep slope into a dark, smelly pit. You are shaken, but unhurt. As you catch your breath, you notice a tunnel leading into the pit. This could be an escape route. Coming toward you out of the tunnel is an animal with the terrible face and quivering whiskers and mean mouth of a rat. But this thing, it's the size of a bear. Its teeth are like those of a huge wolf. As the rat beast comes closer, you reach for your laser pistol, but it's gone. You must have lost it during your slide into the pit. You quickly pick up a handful of sand, and then when the beast is almost upon you, you hurl the sand in its eyes and run past it into the tunnel. The rat beast is apparently blinded or confused, for you are able to escape through the tunnel, which winds upward to the surface of the planet. Thankfully, you step out into the fresh air, but the lake is gone. Perhaps it was a mirage. It's not pleasant to think that your eyes are playing tricks on you. You feel exhausted from your ordeal, confused about where you are, and anxious to return to the Aloha. If you start out immediately to find your way back to the Signet, turn to page 9. If you sit and rest for a few moments, turn to page 50. I think I gotta rest. You sit on a rock and rest, relieved to have escaped from the giant rat beast. You close your eyes for a moment, but at once feel a presence behind you. You turn quickly and try to jump away, but too late. Ah!
I don't think you made very good decisions that time. I mean, really being killed by a rat beast. There's just enough time to go back aboard the Aloha where everybody's safe, and this time try to make some better decisions.
In a few minutes, the Aloha is speeding through space. Safe once more, you breathe a sigh of relief. Change course to Deneb 5, the captain commands you. You are startled by the captain's behavior. There is no conceivable reason for going to Deneb 5. You exchange glances with Dr. Vivaldi, who is standing next to you. Watch the captain closely. I think he may be in the grip of an alien mind force. But you carry out the captain's orders, and the Aloha veers towards Deneb 5. Suddenly, the ship shudders. Everyone is thrown about. The power goes off. Auxiliary lights come on.
Dangerous increase of X-ray radiations on this course.
The computer reports.
Safe levels now exceeded.
We just stay on course, the captain yells. I'm sure the captain knows what he is doing, Pickens says. Dr. Vivaldi takes you aside. The alien force. Now it's controlling Pickens. If you continue to follow the captain's orders, turn to page 23. If you challenge the captain, turn to page 24. You follow the captain's orders. After all, he is still the captain. The Aloha vibrates frighteningly as it hurtles through space toward Deneb 5. Help! Help! Cries the captain. As you watch, his body becomes transparent, and it vanishes. Then you feel yourself evaporating. You still sense your existence, yet you no longer have a body. You are now but a single cell in some great cosmic mind.
Well, I guess you didn't want to evaporate either, but at least that's better than going by a rat beast. Well, just keep on trying. Go to the library and get The Third Planet from Altair and keep reading. There are 36 more endings, so there's 36 more stories. And while you're there, look for Deadwood City. They're both by Edward Packard, and they're both terrific.